Hi, Michelle here with Dreaming English, and today I'm going to talk to you about MIT, or Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Now, one of our viewers has I asked for different topics, and one of our viewers wanted to know more about MIT. And actually, I have family members that have gone there. I went on a tour, and it is in my home state, about a 45-minute drive from where I live. So a 45-minute drive from where I live is how far it is to go to MIT. And this historic building that you see here is the building you would see in all of the advertisements for MIT. It's this beautiful dome, and if you ever see any of the pictures of MIT, you're going to see this picture. Now, the history of MIT, it was actually created and incorporated in 1861 as a way to accelerate the Industrial Revolution of the United States. And it was going to be putting theory and practice, or as MIT's motto, mind and hand. So be teaching people's mind and be having them having hands-on experience. The motto in Latin is mens et minus. I'm not exactly sure of my pronunciation for Latin, but in any case, that is the motto for MIT. So the history going back all the way to 1861. Now, to get into MIT, it's fairly difficult university, college, institute to get into. It is probably one of the top 5 hardest to get into. 8% acceptance rate. That means that for every 100 students that apply, only 8 of them will actually get in. And the average cost to go to MIT is $21,000. That's after all of your financial aid. So the cost that you pay would be $21,000 after you apply the financial aid that you would end up getting. And actually, we went on a tour. So MIT, one of the things they say, I had this lovely thing from them on the tour. Facts about MIT. And one of the things that they say is if your family's income, for a family of 4, if your income is under $90,000, you wouldn't pay anything, which is amazing because I had one of my students, I actually work in a high school and I work with students that are applying to college. And one of the things that happen is that I've had students that have gone on to very, very elite colleges like Boston College and such, and they actually had to at least pay the amount of federal student loans, which the first year is $5,500. They got the full ride. They were actually one of the students was, their family didn't have any money, but they still had to take those federal loans. And MIT is saying if your family makes under $90,000, you won't even have to take out those loans. So I like that about them. Their graduation rate is 90%, which means that 90% of their students graduate after 4 years, and that's very good. It has to do with their very low acceptance rate. So they only take students that they believe are going to finish within 4 years. If you compare it to other colleges, you have state colleges that are below 60% sometimes, but that's not necessarily means that those students didn't finish in 4 to 6 years. Some students might have transferred. So if a student went to Quinsig for the first 2 years, which is a community college, and then they transferred to a state college, that would go against both Quinsig's graduation rates as well as the state college graduation rates. So, but there are some private schools that have very, very low graduation rates. And that's why you want to look at this 90% graduation rate of MIT. And it means that they're only taking the students that are really have a good chance of getting accepted. So this is what an aerial look, if you were in a helicopter or if you were flying into near the city, you would look down and you can see the historic dome right here that people will often see in the pictures. And all the classrooms are, we went on the tour and they're in these buildings here. They have other buildings. I didn't see the whole entire college. You go on the tour and it's about an hour and a half and you don't see everything. but we went through and walked through a lot of this area where the offices of the different professors and the classrooms happen in these buildings. It's actually, this building is all connected, interconnected here. But that's where most of the classes end up happening. So the community, it's a very diverse community with 49% of, so almost half of their students from minority groups, meaning they're African Americans, Asians, Hispanic students and such. We have 11% of students that come from outside of the country, so from China, from Asia, from Europe, and so on, all coming to Harvard, 11% of that, of their students. And students from pretty much every state of the United States. The females are lower, 46%, which is unusual because most colleges, actually, females make up more than 50%. But this is this college, MIT, is very focused on engineering and science, and usually that is attracting more males into those fields. Something that I want to change, and I have a daughter, which I hope will go on to a university or institute like MIT and pursue the sciences. So the student body, exactly, they have 4,602 undergraduates. That is from their fact sheet again, the fact sheet. And for their graduate students, 6,972 graduate students. Their faculty, they have 1,056 full-time faculty. So those are the ones that are teaching the students. Now, some of the character of MIT is to play tricks, or what they call hacks. And hacks are not, when you hear about somebody hacking into the government computers, that's not what MIT means by hacks. Hacks, they have a whole ethics of hacks, and we'll go over that. So the ethics of hacks are: 1, be safe. Your safety and the safety of others. Hacks should never compromise anybody's safety. Subtle. Leave no evidence that you were there. Leave things as you found them. So it's kind of like the Boy Scouts, where you leave no trace, you leave things as you found them. If you find something broken, call, fix it. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I imagine that people at MIT knows what that means. Leave no damage, and as well, do not steal anything. So don't steal anything. Brute force is the last resort of incompetent people. So don't use any force. Do not hack while under the influence of alcohol or any drugs. Do not do that. And do not drop anything from a building without having a ground crew to make sure everything's safe. And don't hack alone. So make sure you have your buddies with you. Do not hack just by yourself. And above all, exercise some common sense. So one interesting hack that I think happened maybe about 20 years ago was MIT students thought it would be really funny to make a model of a police car and put it on top of that historic dome building. So they did that, and the MIT police, it looked so real, the MIT police checked to see if any of their police cars were stolen. And they weren't sure how to get this police car down, so they got a helicopter. When they went up there, they opened the door, and they found a dozen donuts. Now, the MIT students ended up putting this back together the next day and putting it back, and they actually put a note, so that way they gave directions of how to take apart the car without having to get a helicopter. Now, that car is on display in the building, the Ray and Maria Stata Center, which is one of the only buildings at MIT that has a name. Most of the buildings are named Building 1, Building 2, and so on. This one building, very unusual design, actually has a name. So inside is the model car. And the dozen donuts, that's what the police, when they opened up the door, they saw a dozen donuts. So here is the model of the car, and we actually saw this car when we were on our tour. We saw this car. Again, it looks, if you look up, it looks like a real police car. So that's why the police, they looked and they thought maybe one of our police cars was stolen. The mascot for the college is a beaver. And the reason for that, now a beaver is an animal that lives in the water and it swims and it makes its home. Basically, it will chew a bunch of trees and make a dam and dam up a pond so it can make its home underneath the pond. So here you see a picture of the beavers that are making their dam. And that is why the mascot is a beaver, because they're kind of like engineers. They will build the dam, which will flood the stream and be able to make their home safe from predators. Now, I have family members that have gone to MIT. My adoptive father, you can see here, he actually never graduated from MIT. He went there for 3 years, and then he decided he wanted to be a lawyer, so he went straight to law school. Nowadays, you wouldn't be able to do that. And he is actually getting an award here from MIT because he served during his alumni years as the person that would give interviews. So if you were applying to MIT and you didn't want to drive into the college and do your interview, you could actually get an interview with my adoptive father. So he did that for like 40 years, and they gave him a lovely award here, and that's what he's doing. He's accepting that award. My adopted brother has graduated and he has 2 degrees. And my cousin actually has his PhD, John Barrett. He has his PhD, and here is, I'm going to have a link to a news article. The title of the article is "Working Together as a Virtual Telescope, Observatories Around the World Produced the First Direct Images of a Black Hole." And as I said, in the descriptions will be a link to this article, and you'll see my cousin's name, John Barrett. I'm very proud of him. And as I said, I have 2 children. I have a 16-year-old son who is going to be applying to MIT in the fall. He's the one here. And my daughter who's 10. And we went on the tour of MIT, and he already had an MIT zip-up fleece, and I bought my daughter, I'm actually wearing her sweatshirt that I bought her. There they are in front of that historic building there. Do you have any questions about MIT? I don't know if I can answer them, but you can leave them in the comments below, and I might be able to call up my cousin and ask him the questions. Please be sure to subscribe and like our channel, and thanks for watching.